What's going on, everybody? How we doing? MLS is back tonight. Inter Miami hosts Real Salt Lake to kick off the 2024 MLS season. So I am sitting here today on this most holy of MLS days to sign up for pain and bad comments and people calling me I'm an idiot correctly for being an idiot by letting you guys into some season preview predictions, nonsense, whatever. But I do want to do the boring context nuance that none of us know what's going on. Look at me. You know that I look like an idiot. These predictions are going to prove that way. It is very difficult to prognosticate this league in particular, even more so than all the others because of how crazy and chaotic and psychotic this league can be, which is why we love it so much. I'm going to run through, I guess, my standings, which last year I had some good hits and some that I don't really want to bring up in terms of how good I thought the Galaxy were going to be last year. So I'll run through my 2024 season standings. And again, please, if you think your favorite team is third in the conference and I have them as fifth, please don't send any death threats. It's going to be okay. I promise you can just disagree with me, think I'm an idiot, and think that you're right. Because, hey, you're probably right. I could be wrong. Whatever. Is that enough? Is that enough boring nuance here and lack of confidence in something so silly? Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to do some award predictions, trophy predictions, who I've got for MLS Cup, Shield, MVP, Golden Boot, all that good stuff. And then, because gambling is legal all over the country, most of the country, a lot of places in the country, and everybody knows somebody even where it's illegal. I'm just saying, right? I've got, Tommy Sharps is going to step in and just look at some random betting lines that looked pretty cool for futures. I think it'll be fun. This isn't financial advice, so don't blame me and don't wager your kneecaps. That's all I'd say. Into the fun stuff. 2024 season predictions. Let's go. Let's start in the Eastern Conference. Look, this was incredibly difficult to figure out the standings in the East. I think the top 9 teams, you could all talk me into being very good. Like, there's a lot of upside even for the team that I have 7, 8, 9. There's some teams that made a lot of good progress that are below the playoff line. But this is one of the most competitive conferences I can remember in recent memory. So here we go. Let's pull it up. For me, I got Orlando City number 1, Atlanta United 2, FC Cincinnati 3, Columbus 4, Inter Miami 5, Philadelphia Union 6, Nashville 7. And we'll stop there because those are the automatic playoff spots. I'm going out on a limb here with Orlando. I think that, they overperformed last year in terms of some of their underlying numbers. But that's cool because that all counts as points, right? Like, it can help you decide what you think moving forward. But I think that they're much better this year than they were last year. So even if there's regression to the mean in terms of underlying numbers, I think they're just going to be better. Bricalo is better than Antonio Carlos and Rodrigo Schlegel, and he's going to be a starting center back. Robin Jansen was my pick for center back defender of the year, last year. So they have 2 elite center backs. They have a very good goalkeeper. I think Luis Muriel is the best forward in team history, with a history that has Daryl Dike and Kyle Larin. They have all of the makings here for a really good team, and they have so many different options as well that they should be able to rotate plenty and chase the Shield. This is a team that's going to be hungry for the Shield. That's why, Cincy and Columbus, I think that they're just as good. Miami as well. But they don't have a ton of reason to sell out, go all out for the Shield. I think that Orlando and possibly Atlanta do. For Atlanta, I went back and forth with Orlando, Atlanta. There's just a little bit too much uncertainty around Thiago Almada. But I think if you told me Almada's going to be here for sure at the end of the season, like Atlanta would be a really good Shield pick for me as well. Inter Miami, I have them 5th because I just don't think that Messi is going to play more than 25 games. I don't think that he should. I mean, he'll be gone for Copa America. Like, this team is about knockout tournament trophies. Like, winning the Shield would be great. It'd be an accomplishment. But I think that it's much more likely that they win tournament than they win a 34-game league schedule, where, again, I wouldn't be shocked if Messi plays 18 games. He picks up an injury on top of the international stuff. They be careful. They should be careful. Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, all of this. Like, they have a strong team, but they have a lot of older players. Supporter Shield is a young man's game, man. So, some other teams, Philly and Nashville, they're a little bit boring to talk about just because they have so much continuity, but I'm probably a little bit low on them than I should be. I think Philly and Nashville are going to be really good. Again, like, particularly 1 through 7 in the East is going to be so jumbled and so difficult. Like, again, if Philly finished 2nd in the East, if Nashville finished 3rd, wouldn't be surprised at all. NYCFC, New York Red Bulls, I like what both of these teams did this offseason a whole lot. But I was burned last year by the Red Bulls, so I'm trying to check myself on, I was really high on them coming into last year. But look, their defensive foundation is very good to elite. And now they're bringing Emil Forsberg, and then maybe you hope that Dante Van Zier looks better in year 2. There's a lot of reasons for optimism here because they have such good foundation. It's just that they need that elite special attacking piece. I think Emil Forsberg is it, but I could be wrong. But so that's why I kind of hedged it here at 9. Again, this is another team that I could see being a really strong regular season team. High-pressing teams do better in the regular season than they do in the playoffs. It's just been the history of this league. NYCFC, they have a great foundation as well. James Sands, Keaton Parks, Thiago Martins, Burke Risa. Like, that's a really good spine. They have a ton of high-priced, talented young players in attack. The optimistic view is those young players cook. The spine holds it together, and they look great. The pessimistic view is an 18-year-old forward is inconsistent because that's what 18-year-old forwards do. It takes a little bit of time to adapt to a new league. Same thing with a couple teenage and young 20s wingers. There's a lot of question marks and not a lot of definite answers in attack, and that's why, again, I think that they're going to be really good. Like, if push comes to shove, that's my assumption. Below the playoff line, this was insanely difficult. 10 New England Revolution, 11 Charlotte, 12 Montreal, 13 Chicago, 14 Toronto, 15 DC. Look, New England being outside of the playoff line is probably one of the ones that's going to make me look dumb. I just couldn't find a team for me to put them over. Like, maybe NYCFC with all the question marks. Maybe there's a rash of injuries to one of those other teams. It's nuts to me that a Carlos Hill-led team is below the playoff line, but hey, here we are. The East is a bloodbath. Charlotte, I think, are going to be better and more competitive than people think. If they sign 2 really good DPs, which they're in the market for, we'll see. But right now, they're incomplete. I can't put them higher than they are. Montreal are going to be much more interesting. Chicago as well. Chicago can be better. Again, I'm just looking at track records here. We'll see. Like, a lot of these teams, there is upside. And that's, again, the fun part of MLS. And that's the difficult part when you're doing predictions because there's a lot of teams can be surprising. On to the West. It's definitely lighter than the East, but it's still going to be competitive in the sense that there is no dominant team. I think Seattle is going to be the closest thing to a dominant team, but we can be wrong. Let's pull it up right now. Seattle Sounders, FC Dallas 2, LAFC 3, Real Salt Lake 4, Vancouver 5, Galaxy 6, Colorado 7, St. Louis 8, Portland 9, Houston 10, San Jose 11, Minnesota 12, Kansas City 13, and 14, Austin FC. I think Seattle have the highest floor of this group. They're the most consistent. They have a lot of in-prime talent. They have a lot of continuity. This is a team that's been good year after year after year after year, and a lot of the pieces are back, and they've continued what they normally do. I think that they have a route to the Shield because their schedule should be easier in theory because they won't play as many East teams. The East, if let's say the East beats up on each other, and then Seattle is able to kind of run away with the West, and they should be in Shield contention. We'll see. FC Dallas, I had them up here last year, and I was very, very wrong. Back again, I really love Jesus Ferreira playing off a center forward as like a second striker or an attacking midfielder. If they're playing the 3-4-2-1, I think that's perfect for the system. I think that's perfect for Ferreira and Peter Musa and Kumungo. When Alan Velasco comes back, that front three is perfect. Some defensive questions, but a back three, I think, really papers over some of those question marks. LAFC, they just continue to remake themselves. They have a lot of talent. I know that they're missing players, but I think that they're going to have a big summer, and I think that they're going to be good enough to beginning of the season to stick around kind of the top of the conference. Salt Lake, too, I wish that they signed another DP, but we'll see. Vancouver should be expecting to be in this top 4, top 5 range. I could see them being, 3rd or 4th. It's a big season for them. Some ones that I'm kind of going out on a limb for a little bit more. Galaxy and Colorado, 6 and 7. I know the drawbacks for both of these teams. The drawbacks is the Galaxy's defense and Colorado's, 2 of their 3 DPs are Rafael Navarro and Kevin Cabral. I get it. I'm just really high on what both of these teams did this offseason. I do think that they're going to make the world of difference. Again, the Galaxy attack with Pooch, Gabriel Peck, and Joseph Pansil underneath Dejan Joveljic, I think could score 75 goals. Look, now the defense can give up 55 or 60, but I think that they'll score enough goals. It'll be fun. So I got Galaxy and Colorado in the top 7. St. Louis, Portland, these are difficult seasons. Again, St. Louis, they'll regress, but they're going to be really good. I think that they're going to be really solid, and again, they're cohesive. They know their identity. I think they're going to pick up enough points to make the playoffs. Portland Timbers, I'm putting a lot of faith in what their DP number 9 is going to be, and what I think of Phil Neville as a coach is more 2022 Inter Miami than 2023 Inter Miami. But hey, I could be wrong. We'll see. Houston was a tough one to leave below the line, but without Hector Herrera, that's so difficult. And now Sebas Ferreira looks like he got injured in their CCC game, sorry. Who knows? They're already light as is. They don't have a ton of room to bring in new pieces. So, yeah, they got too many question marks for me. Minnesota, San Jose, Kansas City, Austin. I think that this will kind of be the bottom of the conference. Again, San Jose is really solid too. They can make some noise. Like, again, I really think 6 through 12 or 13, honestly, in this conference is going to be tough to pick from. And again, while I have some of these teams below the playoff line, I can very much definitely be wrong. All right, as for the awards, Supporter Shield, going out on a limb here. I think Supporter Shield is a young man's game, a deep team's game. Orlando City, again, I think that they're better than they were last year, both in terms of quality, continuity, everything else. I like them. I do like a shout for Atlanta United and Seattle Sounders. Again, I laid out the Sounders case in the previous section. Atlanta United, again, if you told me Thiago Almada will be here until MLS Cup, it'd be very... I think that they're going to be in the Shield race the whole time. So, Orlando City's a Shield for me, and we'll see. MLS Cup is Inter Miami because I think that they're going to be a knockout tournament team. Look, dude, Messi wins everything always. If he's fit, it's going to be really hard to pick anybody else. This is pretty self-explanatory. I do think that the defense will be fine. Like, I'm a big fan of Tomas Aviles, Sergei Kristov, Frieri. So they have 3 starting caliber center backs. They can go to a back 3 and put Yedlin as a right center back to add to that depth. So I think Tata Martino will figure it out. MVP, I'm going to start out and just say the boring and probably correct answer is going to be Messi. Whether he 1,000% deserves it or not will to be determined. I don't think that he's going to play enough minutes, but I also worry that that's not going to matter to the voters. The players are one of the cohorts of the voters, and he's just about everybody's idol. He had some overwhelming percentage of Newcomer of the Year votes last year from players, despite the fact that he played like 400 minutes in MLS, and the award was only supposed to be for MLS play. So, yeah, I think that if Messi is even in the ballpark in terms of minutes and goals and assists, and Miami are decent, I think that he's going to get a big pull from the players and the coaches and anybody who goes against him, and media as well, right? Like, we're to blame as well. But for me, I'm going to be more adventurous. I'm going to say Cucho Hernandez. Full season, again, under Wilfred Nancy, full season with, Diego Rossi, full season as him being the guy. Like, if he does for the entire year what he did over the second half of 2023, he's the MVP for me. I think he's a really safe bet for availability, for consistency, given his age, given his history in terms of availability. And again, it's a cheat code to be an attacker in a Wilfred Nancy system. I love Cucho Hernandez for that. And we'll just keep it going here. Golden Boot, Cucho Hernandez. Again, I think he's going to score a ton of goals. He takes their penalties, and that's a big part of winning Golden Boot. Danny Bouanga did. Daniel Gosstock was in the Golden Boot conversation just from borderline penalties alone last year. So that's a big boost. Cucho Hernandez. In terms of other Golden Boot shouts, Giacomakis is always a great shout. He's going to score a ton of goals. Luis Suarez, will he play enough? If he does play enough, he's going to be in there. And Aaron Bupenza, I'm a little bit worried if you can rely on him, but I think he's going to score a ton of goals. And if he gives you 30 games, 28 starts, like, he's going to be in this conversation. Defender of the year, I'm going to go with Ymar in Seattle. He's been in the conversation plenty. Again, I think that Seattle's going to have a very good defense. I think they're going to have a very good regular season record. And, I think that Jackson Reagan is very good. A lot of people do. The narrative part of this, it's easier to be like, oh, Ymar's the best center back on this team, right? Like, you look at Miles Robinson and Matt Miazga. I think that they're going to take votes away from each other because we're going to shrug and be like, they're both really good. I don't know who to vote. Like, when Jacob Glesnes won in 22, Jack Elliott wasn't on the ballot. If he was on the ballot, it would have been difficult to split them. Philly ended up nominating Kai Wagner instead. So then it became, all right, do you want a wing back or do you want a center back? And the voters came back with Glesnes. Some other shouts, like Walker Zimmerman's always in this conversation. I don't know if there will be voter fatigue or not. Robin Jansen, again, my pick last year. I think that he's going to split votes with Bracalo, if Bracalo is as good as I think he's going to be. So that might make it difficult. So that's why I'm going to go with Ymar here. There's other awards to get to, but we're going to cut it off right there because I just kind of wanted to go with those big time ones. Again, I think that we'll have plenty of discussions about goalkeeper of the year, defender of the year, newcomer, young player, coach, all that during the season. I'm just going to stick with those 3. There's a couple random ones that came from the extra time Golden Boot draft. I don't know where these arguments came from, but what I wrote down is I told David Goss we had a disagreement on NYCFC's forwards. I think Jovan Mijatovic is going to score more goals than Munsef Bakrar. And I had an argument with producer extraordinaire Anders that Denny Bouanga will score more than Hani Mukhtar. These are just random predictions that I felt like I wanted to put on the record here as well. So there's that. All right, we'll be back with Tommy Sharps. All right, the first part of this video was the super serious journalist guy with the stupid mustache, Tommy Scoops. This part of the video is going to be Tommy Sharps for your random betting things that I find to be interesting in futures. And again, I hedge that this isn't financial advice. Please don't. This is just for fun, right? All right, so some of the futures that I like: Sounders to win the West in the regular season. I've seen it at plus 400. That's 4-1. I think that's good value. Real Salt Lake to finish in the top 7 in the West is minus 110. I like that a lot. And Colorado Rapids top 9 plus 110. These are just, again, a couple random ones that I like that, just based on my season predictions, these are the ones that align. Another fun one, FC Dallas have the most points in Texas, plus 190. Essentially, just they need to finish ahead of Houston and Austin. I think Austin is an obvious one because I have them last. Houston have a lot of injuries and a lot of other stuff. Dallas at plus 190, I think that's incredible value and incredible odds. I'd go for that. Another one that I like a lot, and again, I have a lot of Orlando stock here, so maybe this all goes up in flames, but Orlando City, more regular season points than Inter Miami, is plus 350. I love that. I love that value. I think that's a fun one. And again, because I have Orlando as the Shield winners, which is 33-1, which is pretty long odds. That's another one that would align with this. Again, I think Miami's just going to be more of a tournament team than a regular season team, and I think that's what they should do. And I think Orlando has more incentive to push all ahead on the regular season, but we'll see. There's been some sites that do over/under in points totals. There's some here that I like that I'm just going to run through. Again, I could do all 29, but I'm just going to go with kind of 3 of, I guess, my favorites. DC United under 44.5. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It makes sense. Houston Dynamo under 47.5. Again, it's about all the injuries and how thin the squad is at the moment. And then Atlanta United over 49.5. I just think that they're going to be really good this year and really consistent. So those are a couple of the ones that I like. Again, Tommy Sharps here. Whether you go to, whether gambling is legal in your state or, a guy, an Italian cousin here from New Jersey or whatever, right? I'm on the fence here about this as Tommy Sharps. If anybody is actually interested in this kind of segment occasionally, let me know. We'll see. All right, that'll do it for our season preview show here. Again, this is going to age pretty poorly. I'm not looking forward to the comments and to what this looks like in 7 months, but hey, it's fun. It's a good way to kind of just touch on the league ahead of the season starting. Again, I'm not sure if I'll be doing, 4 or 5 videos a week like it has been this week, but preview content, you got to bring it all in. So yeah, let me know again what else you guys want, particularly if people are interested in betting stuff. Again, I don't know what is and what isn't cool, or what is or what isn't what people want. So again, keep me posted. Again, this league is for sickos. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So betting it can be fun, but it can be very perilous, I'm assuming. So yeah, vamos to the season. Looking forward to Wednesday night and the weekend.